something of, then the blessed clings to the blessed. Through this wholeness one can achieve real active workshop. How do we increase friends? Joy in the work. Again, how do we increase friends? Joy in the work. Active workshop. By acquiring a taste for the joy. Friends, what a joy to be in this preparation together with the Brazil. Friends is thankful to the Creator because the desire for spirituality brought us here. The need to connect with the friends brought us here. The need to feel one with the whole world. Sincerely, we're grateful to the Creator for everything He has given us. Go ahead when one feels some closeness to, when he feels joy at having been favored by the Creator, then too he must say that his joy is primarily because now there's joy above in the and being able to bring her private organ near her, and that she did not have to send her private organ out, and one derives joy from being rewarded with pleasing. That this is in accord with the above calculation, that when there is joy to their part, it is only a part of the joy of the whole. Through these calculations he loses his individuality and avoids being by the which is the will to receive for his own benefit. Again, when one feels some closeness to, when he feels joy at having been favored by the Creator, then too he must say that his joy is primarily because now there is joy about being able to bring her private organ near her, and that she did not have to send her private organ out, and one derives joy from being rewarded with pleasing. That this is in accord with the above calculation, that when there is joy to the part, it is only a part of the joy of the whole. Through these calculations he loses his individuality and avoids being trapped by the which is the will to receive for his own benefit. Silent workshop. Let's enter a connection with one heart and feel the Creator there. Again, silent workshop. Let's enter a connection with one heart and feel the Creator there. Get it for sh for then la ver n. Hello, we are reading the Rabash article. These are the generations of Noah. I can ask questions on info and also on the AR system in Hebrew. It's in the writings of Rash, page 74 here. If you're in study hall, anyone if who asks a question, we ask you to stand up and hold the mic close to your mouth and speak loudly and clearly. These are the generations of Noah. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was complete in his generations. Noah walked with God. Rashi interprets to teach you that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Russ explains why he says these are the generations of Noah. He should have said the names of his sons, meaning Shem and Ye. And why does it say these are the generations of Noah? Noah was a righteous man. He explains that it is because the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds in his generation, since some of our sages praise him that if he were in a generation of righteous he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him if he were in the generation of Abraham, he would be regarded as nothing. Noah walked with God. Rashi interprets with Abraham. He says, before whom I walked, no needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked with his righteousness by himself. To explain all the above in the work, we should know that father and son, fathers and generations or offspring mean cause and consequence. Normally, when a person does something, he is certain that this act with will engender something. For example, a person who goes to work in some factory wants to beat a salary through his actions so he can provide for himself. Turns out that the father is the labor and the generation is the provision. Likewise, when a person learns some wisdom, he wants to be appreciated as wise by that, meaning that everything a person does is only to see generations from his actions. Therefore, when a person engages in Torah and mitzvah, he certainly wants some generations to be born out of his actions according to what is written in the Holy Zed. These are its words. Fear is interpreted in three ways, two of which do not have the proper root, and one is the root of fear. There is a person who fears the Creator so his sons will live and not die, or fears a monetary punishment. For this reason he always fears him turns out that his fear of the Creator is not the root, since his own benefit is the root and the fear is its consequence, its generation, and there is a person who fears the Creator because he fears the punishment of that world and the punishment of hell. Those two fears, fear of punishment in this world and fear of punishment in the next world, and not the essence of the fear and its root. Fear, which is the essence, is that one should fear one's master because he is great and ruling the essence and root of all the worlds, and everything is regarded as nothing compared to him. It follows from the above that from the work in which a person labours, which is called the father, he wants to see generations from his work, which is called the fruit of his work. There are three types of generation we should see here. One, reward in this world, meaning that his sons will live and he will succeed in provision, etc. 2, reward in the next world. 3, because he is great and ruling. This means that all the generations he aspires for are able to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It follows from the above that there is the matter of generations which are called good deeds, and good means bestowing upon the Creator, as it is written, my heart overflows with a good thing. I say my work is for the King. This means that he wants all of his actions to be for the Creator, and this is called good deeds. For his own benefit he wants no reward, and all the reward he hopes for is to be able to do things that bring contentment to the Creator without any reward for his own labour. This means that his reward is that he will be given that gift of being able to do things only for the sake of the Creator, any mixture of intention to benefit himself. This is the reward for which he engages in Torah, and for such good deeds he hopes to attain this by his labour. It was said about this, I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice. According what are the actions of the righteous, only good deeds, meaning the results that stems from their reason, and the reason is the labour in Torah and MIT. For the rest of the people, the results of the reason are reward in this world or reward in the next world, but to the righteous the result from the reason that their Father who begets generations is only good deeds. This is the only reward they hope for, to be able to bring contentment to their Creator. This is the meaning of what Rashi interprets, that the generations of the righteous is primarily good deeds. This is regarded as all their actions being only to bestow contentment upon the Creator. However, we should understand what Rashi interprets about the essence of the generations of the righteous and what they consider secondary, which they do not regard as their essence is. No, but there are actions and there is understanding, and knowing that is that which is within reason is called understanding, and knowing meaning that the body too agrees that we should engage in Torah. And since once a person has achieved the degree of more for her sake, he is rewarded with the light of life which is found in Torah, and it is, as it is written, more desirable than gold, than much fine gold, and sweeter than honey and the honeycomb. This is called understanding, where the body too understands that it is worthwhile to be a servant of the Creator. Rabbi says anyone who engages in Torah is rewarded with many things. Moreover, the whole world is worthwhile for him, and the secrets of Torah are revealed to him. To the righteous all these things attained by engaging in Ma are not regarded as the essence. That is, this is not their intention in the work in Torah, and rather what is most important for them is good deeds, meaning to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It is in that regard that they expected to achieve a degree of deeds above reason. Their intention was not to have generations of understanding and knowing, rather their intention was only their actions. This is the meaning of what Rashi explained to teach you, that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. According to the above, we can interpret what Rashi explains about in his generations. Some of our sages praise him. Moreover, if he were in a generation of righteous, he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him. If he were in Abraham's generation, he would be regarded as nothing in his generations, means his 2 generations, because 2 is plural, but concerning the work each and every state is called a generation. This is the meaning of one generation shall praise your work to another. It means that whether a person is in a generation of wicked, meaning if a person has thoughts and desires of the wicked, at which time a person has great exertion to be able to overcome the arguments of the wicked, which take his mind and thought with the questions of who and what, at that time he cannot overcome them unless with the power of faith above reason. This is regarded as subduing the arguments of the wicked, not with answers within reason, but rather only with the power of faith above reason can he defeat. Then this is called an at, meaning without intellect, and this is called if he has performed one mitzvah on commandment, he is happy, for he has sentenced himself and the entire world to a scale of merit, for only with an act can we defeat the argument of the wicked, and not with intellect and reason. Accordingly, we should say that Noah's generation refers to a generation of wicked. He should be praised because then he has the primary hard work, but he should be condemned because in the end he's in a generation of wicked, meaning he has foreign thoughts, and it is unbecoming of a servant of the Creator to have such wickedness and heart. We should also say that in the generation of Abraham, meaning in a generation where there are righteous, namely when he is good thoughts of righteous, it is when their own it is, when their only one desire and his mind and heart to bring contentment to the Creator, and thoughts and desires of the wicked never crush his mind or heart. Such a person is in a generation of righteous. Others praise, for if Noah had been in the state of righteous, meaning if he had equalized the powers of overcoming that he had in the generation of the wicked, what would he have felt then compared to the feeling he has now, which is the pleasantness and sweetness of the Torah? Certainly, the time of Noah's generation, which was called a generation wicked, that time was regarded as nothing, for then he still did not feel the delight and pleasure that he feels in a generation of righteous. But with respect to the work, the time when he was in a generation of wicked was a place for work. It turns out that Noah's generation is more important because he has what to do. The generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Noah walked with God. Rashi interprets that with Abraham, he says, before whom I walked. Noah needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked by his righteousness. This means that there are two types of forces in a person, which are called vessels of reception and vessels of bestow. Vessels of bestow relate to the Creator, as the Creator is the giver, and vessels of reception relate to the creature, who is the receiver. The vessels of reception, which relate to the receiver, come before the vessels of best. In the language of Kabbalah, the vessels of best are called and below them are the vessels of reception, which are said, and accordingly the vessels of bestow are called. God walked with Noah, meaning that in a place of vessels of bestow it was possible to walk in holiness, meaning vessels of bestow that relate to the Creator, which are vessels of bestow. This is called Noah needed assistance to support him, since the upper one gives the vessels of bestow, which is regarded as Noah needing assistance to support him. This means that the upper one awakens him to work called awakening from above. It is written in the study of the TN, however, in the beginning, in the first time, the man that were not by zone in ABA went up, and then the zone were made of those man after zone were established. They raised moan a second time. Once he has the vessels of bestow, which he acquired through awakening from above, which is called Noah needed assistance to support him, which comes from the upper one, and this was the degree of Noah. But Abraham did not need assistance to support him. Rashi makes that precision from the words before whom I walked. It means that he walked with vessels of reception, which stand before the vessels of bestow. The vessels of bestow, which are and stand above, and below them stand the vessels of reception, which are Zed and so. Since Abraham walked with vessels that are before him, before the vessels of bestow, which relate to the Creator, and we relate to the vessels of reception to the receiver. This is why using the vessels of reception is called awakening from below, which is attributed to the lower one. This is the meaning of Abraham not needing assistance to support him, because he walked with vessels of reception. With those vessels he was serving the Creator. But the words God walked with Noah mean thine that are attributed to God, which are vessels of bestow, which are vessels of the Creator, and those kill him the Creator gives can. Shot yes, that's the article. Questions. Ken, what does it mean? That Abraham walked with the vessels of reception which came from above, and that day became the vessels of bestow, which is awakening from above, is that the will to receive of Abraham the first one, and then the second one is a certain quality of bestow. It's not really understood by me this thing what is written. It's written that the generation of Abraham within the person as it seems went according to the vessels of reception, meaning that he was in the generation of righteous, and it comes from within him, and that's the continuation of Noah, and Noah was the first one, and that's as if it seems the opposite to me. It's unclear to me that thing. Well, find it in the text and read it to us. Continue maybe the same question. He writes that Noah are the vessels of bestow and Abraham are the vessels of reception. Then it says that Noah is in the generation of wicked and Abraham is in the generation of righteous, and that the development needs to be the opposite. As much as we develop, if it's more vessels of reception, so it should be the generation of the wicked. So how do we organize that? Where is that written? There is the and God worked with. No, there's a paragraph that starts with and God walked with. God walked with. No, Rash interprets that, but Noah got strengthened and went according to his righteousness, since there are two forces in the person which are called vessels of reception and vessels of bestow. Vessels of bestow relate to the Creator, as the Creator is the giver, and vessels of reception relate to the creature who is the receiver. The vessels of reception which relate to the receiver come before the vessels of bestow. In the words of C, the vessels of are called, and G, of and below them are the vessels of reception, which are accordingly the vessels of bestow, called. God walked with Noah, meaning that in a place of vessels of bestow, it was possible to walk in holiness, meaning vessels of bestow that relate to the Creator, which are vessels of bestow. This is called no one needed assistance to support him, since the upper one gives the vessels of bestow, which are regarded as Noah needing assistance to support him. This means that the upper one awakens him to work called awakening from above, maybe just until. Here we continue some more as it is written in the study of the 10. However, in the beginning, in the first time, the man that were not by Zedin went up, and then the zone were made of those man. After zone were established, they raised man a second time. Once he has the vessels of bestow which he acquired through awakening from above, is called no needed assistance to support him, which comes from the upper one, and this was the degree of Noah. But Abraham did not need assistance to support him. Russi makes that precision from the words before whom I walked, means that he walked with vegetals of reception which stand before the vessels of bestow, vels which understand above, and below them stand the vessels of reception which are Z and Z, since Abraham walked with vessels that are before him, before the vessels of bestow which relate to the Creator, and we relate the vessels of reception to the receivers. This is why using the vessels of reception is called awakening from below, which is attributed to the lower one. This is the meaning of Abraham not needing assistance to support him, because he walked with vessels of reception. With those Kim vessels he was serving the Creator. The words God walked with Noah mean that are attributed to God, which are vessels of bestow, which are vessels of the Creator, and those vessels the Creator gives. Again, to continue, the order isn't clear. Abraham was before Noah. Right in the historical order, Noah was before Abraham, or correct, so we always hear about how Abraham is the right line. Abraham is the right line. No, yes, thank you. I understand here, according to the article, that Noah, since he had an environment of wicked, he needed to always raise to the Creator to ask him for corrections all the time, and to awaken the day for these corrections. However, Abraham was in faith above reason. All of his work was directly toward the Creator. So here there's if to this comparison between one degree of Abraham and another degree of Noah, and they say that precisely Noah's degree is higher because he gave more more effort in order to demand the upper force than Abraham. That's what I understood from the article. Okay, we hear more. It is written that Noah the vessels of the first three and Abraham is which are the lower ones which relate to the vessels of reception. So there is this then called the right of the vessels of reception, right, and also in the 7 lower ones there are right and left. So Noah was in. What does it mean? The vessels of the vessels of bestow of what did he need to do there? And the main part of the question is why are they wicked? There you have. That's already Abraham has said that's already reception and Noah were the first 3. And in so what does it mean that he was in the generation of the wicked? What is the connection between the first 3 SB and the wicked? That is a question. What? Okay. More, he says that Noah needed something from the Creator and he said that the Creator gives him the CLE that gives support to Noah, and the work of Noah is in delighting in mercy in bestow the vessels of bestow, as it is written, he who comes to purify in the Creator. And here it's clear there is the part of the creation which the Creator helps. He gives him sad, which shows him how to go on the path, and then he gives him that example and goes on the path he gives. He calls that smallness. Cut note, what is that stage that the person himself creates a CLE with which he works the Creator, and then what happens with that CLE with the first part of the vessels of bestow that comes from the Creator, because we always say that we increase in connection, and here it appears as if it's supposed to detach from the first CLE and start working with another CLE that he could not work with beforehand. Can anyone answer? Can? Yes, depends on where a person gets the awakening from, either from the upper one or from the his desires to receive. Depends where he starts the action from. Explain more. Noah receives the awakening from the upper one. He's incapable of working with his vessels of reception. The upper one gives him forces, and then he can work with them. Abraham checks his desires, and every desire is already capable of asking from the upper one and do good deeds for the sake of the Creator. Okay. More. Okay. Yes, person can connect to the Creator only through his vessels of reception, meaning more vessels reception. He can connect to the Creator more. He works with them. He brings correction to them. What I understood is that Noah didn't have those vessels, maybe not enough, and then in the awakening from above, the Creator awakens in him the vessels of reception, and Abraham already came with those vessels. That's what I understood. It's like reminds me of the no first and second conceptions. I don't really understand, but this time it sounds clear. Receiving in order to receive and receiving in order to best. The first stage is he gets the vessels of bestow, receiving in order to bestow, and then he can use the vessels of bestow and receiving order to bestow again. Yes, maybe it's a difference between the rush of the part before it expands to the goof, as he explains in the awakening from above in AB. Explain, elaborate, and afterwards the raising of manna son. Okay, you can think about it that way too. Maybe it's in the first part it's no is the stemming down of the vessels of from above downward, and that's why they're wicked, because they cannot receive from the Creator, because they're cascading from above downward. And on behalf of Abraham, which is the generation of the righteous, he can work with the vessels of reception, and therefore he can work with his vessels toward the Creator, toward up. That's the matter. That's unclear that it's depicted in the article or in general. This whole story of Noah and Abraham is cascading from above downward. And how do we look from below upward? Is there first Noah in the correction, or is there first Abraham in the correction? What are we correct first? Vessels of reception or vessels of bestow? Vessel of so. That's even less clear. Why does Abraham is he considered the generation of the righteous, and Noah is considered the generation of the wicked? How do we look at the article in relation to correction, or in terms of the cascading down of the worlds, basically the unfolding of the world? So how do we see our correction in that? If that's case, if it's clear to you how the decline of the generations happens, then the opposite form is correction. But if that's the case, what vessels do we correct? Because if we return, so first the vessels that we have are the vessels of a reception, that the ones that reveal, but that's impossible before. Vessels of bestow, that's a conflict. Yes, okay, we will have to read. Again, perhaps yes. Good. The first part of the article is about coming to the correct form of fear, that the main fear is that a person will be afraid of the Creator because he is great and ruling, and then the whole unfolding of the world is considered nothing compared to him, and that is the goal. What is not the main thing, is it? Understanding and knowing that's unimportant, and afterwards he speaks about Noah, that there are generations like this and generations like that. You could say that is a generation because there was wicked in generation, and the same with Abraham. There are these who, what are these ones who demand what? Are these situations, that these complaints about those who say about Noah and those who are about Abraham, if the main thing is to come to good deeds? Yes, but you have vessels of reception and vessels of bestow. What do you work with? There's a state. There are those who say that Noah, that he is righteous in his generation, that's something to be praised, because there are those among the wicked that is righteous, and then there are those who say that they condemn it because they say that among wicked to be righteous, it's easy. And then I bet Abraham the same thing. All these ones who talk about them, they're just this force of this quality of bestow. Hear this whole thing in the article simply. Why do we need all these ones who speak about them in practice? You need to reach bestow to the Creator. So how do you get there? In what order? First, you don't need understanding. It's not importantly understanding, and all the questions are those that it seems as if it's understanding. Yes, maybe it's possible to add to the scrutiny. Rash's articles, he speaks about the correction of creation and the purpose of creation. The correction of the creation is the correction of the CLE. Here it's the vessels of bestow. Here it's called Noah, and the purpose of creation seems it's Abraham. The vessels of bestow, the vessels of reception, fulfillment. Again, also Noah's degree is the questions of who and what, meaning of asks questions about who is the Creator, why, what is his work. Then when he reaches the degree of Abraham, he reaches the degree of faith above reason, meaning has no choice. He reaches their upper HD, and without the upper one we will remain with these questions. And then he needs to reach the degree of where he sees that he has the vessels of reception, and then he sees that everything's in the treatment of their Creator VIs. These are the processes that constantly cycle in the person, in the advancement in the work. Can yes, MH could say that Noah's love of the created beings and Abraham's love the Creator, and these are 2 degrees in order to reach love the Creator. K. Yes, also in relation to what Gillard said, he writes here, expected to reach the degree of actions above reason, and they had no intention to reach understanding and knowing, but only in the actions alone did they have that understanding. My question is that point that will determine in the end whether they will come to Lishma or not, is the intentions during the mitzvah, during the actions, because he directs there, because it's something very sensitive. So the question is, how do you know? Now we're doing this mitzvah, we're learning together. How do we intend at it'll be actions above reason? It seem that knowledge doesn't work out that way, and here it says it's really spiritual work here. And so what is the knowledge? What is the difference between knowledge and the intention for good actions, good deeds? Okay, so I see that you have more questions than answers. What, just to add, we didn't speak about this much, but he begins the article with the matter of the work and reward and punishment, which is basically closer to us. He says there's 3 types of fear. The first is reward and punishment in this world, then reward and punishment in the next world. And the true root of fear that we should aspire to is because he's great and ruling, meaning that all the generations that he's hoping for is that he can bestow contentment to the Creator. So perhaps regarding that this work in Lishma, the first stages we have are that constant progress to a higher fear, more exalted fear, until we come to that fear of because he's great and ruling, which seems to be that there seems to be work that's closer to us. 10. Yes, continue. Safi writes here, the middle of page 76, that turns out that the generation of Noah is more important since he has what to do, since that's the good deeds of the righteous, meaning the more we ask the Creator for His help, His assistance, and we don't let go of that connection. We actually make all our actions with the outcome of bringing contentment to the Creator and relating it to today. We say, we are the last generation where the environment is really important to reach the final correction. Again from Asher, they're adding that Noah is after one moved closer to the friends. He has to rise above himself and connect them to the Creator without self reception, and Abraham is the vessels of getting close to the friends and loving them. Noah did it in desire and thought, and not in practice, and Abraham's like the general correction, whereas Noah is the personal correction. Yeah, nice more. Yes, how I understand it, the first degree is Noah working in a generation of evil ones, and he has to go both above reason. So his kind of adhesion with the Creator is above reason, and we can say that in praise because he work in generation of wicked ones and goes above reason, and there's a higher degree of Abraham already in faith above reason. Now he has to correct the vessels of reception, which seems to be the aspect of TOA. What I think is that it's important for us to read it. Again, we'll read the article. Again, these are the generations of Noah. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was complete. In his generations, Noah walked with God. Rossi interprets to teach you that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. She explains why he says these are the generations of Noah. It should have said the names of his sons, meaning Shem, and why does it say these are the generations of Noah? Noah was a righteous man. He explains that it is because the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds in his generations. Since some of our sages praise that if he were in a generation of righteous he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him. If he were in the generation of Abraham he would be regarded as nothing. Noah walked with God. Rash interprets with Abraham. He says, before whom I walked. Noah needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked with his righteousness by himself. To explain all the above in the work, we should know that father and son, fathers and generations, offspring mean cause and consequence. Normally, when a person does something, he's certain that this act will engender something. For example, a person who goes to work in some factory wants to get a salary through his actions so he can provide for himself. It turns out that the father is the labor and the generation is the provision. Likewise, when a person learns some wisdom, he wants to be appreciated as wise by that, meaning that everything a person does is only to see generations from his actions. Therefore, when a person engages in, he certainly wants some generations to be born out of his actions, according to what is written in the Holy, and these are its words. Fear is interpreted in three ways, two of which do not have the proper root, and one is the root of fear. There is person who fears the Creator so his sons will live and not die, or fears a monetary punishment. For this reason he always fears him. It turns out that his fear of the Creator is not the root, since his own benefit is the root and the fear is its consequence, generation. And there is a person who fears the Creator because he fears the punishment of that world and the punishment of hell. Those two fears, fear of punishment in this world and fear of punishment in the next world, are not the essence of the fear, and its root, fear, which is the essence, is that one should fear one's master because he is great and ruling the essence and root of all the worlds, and everything is regarded as nothing compared to him. It follows from the above that from the work in which a person labors, which is called the Father, he wants to see generations from his work, which is called the fruit of his work. These are three types of generations we should see here. One, reward in this world, meaning that his sons will live and he will succeed in provision, etc. Two, reward in the next world because he is great and ruling. This means that all the generations he aspires for are to be able to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It follows from the above that there is the matter of generations which are called good deeds, and good means bestowing upon the Creator, as it is written, my heart overflows with a good thing. I say my work is for the King. This means that he wants all of his actions to be for the Creator, and this is called good deeds for his own benefit. He wants no reward and all the reward already hopes for is to be able to do things that bring contentment to the Creator without any reward for his own labor. This means that his reward is that he will be given that gift of being able to do things only for the sake of the Creator without any mixture of intention to benefit himself. This is the reward for which he engages in for such good deeds. He hopes to attain this by his labor. It was said about this, I have created the evil inclination. I have created for the tar as a spice. Accordingly, what for the generations of the righteous only good deeds, meaning the result that stems from the reason, and the reason is the labor in for the rest of the people. The results of the reason are reward in this world or reward in the next world, but to the righteous they result from the reason is that their Father who begets generations is only good deeds, who this is the only reward they hoped for, to be able to bring contentment to the Creator. This is the meaning of what Rashi interprets, that the generations of the righteous is primarily good deeds. This is regarded as all their actions being only to bestow contentment upon the Creator. However, we should understand what Rashi interprets about the essence of the generations of the righteous and what they consider secondary, which they do not regard as the essence. It is known that there are actions and there is understanding and knowing, that is, that which is within, and reason is called understanding and knowing, meaning that the body too agrees that we should engage in. Since once a person has achieved the degree of mer, he is rewarded with the light of life which is found in it, is, as it is written, more desirable than gold, than much fine gold, and sweeter than honey and the honeycomb. This is called understanding, where the body too understands that it is worthwhile to be a servant of the Creator. Says anyone who engages into is rewarded with many things. Moreover, the whole world is worthwhile for him, and the secrets of Torah are revealed to him. To the righteous all these things attained by engaging in Lishma are not regarded as the essence, that is, that this is not their intention in the work, and rather what is most important for them is good deeds to contentment upon the Creator. It is in that regard that they expected to achieve a degree of deeds above reason. Their intention was not to have generations of understanding and knowing, but rather their intention was only the actions. This is the meaning of what Rashi explained to teach you, that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. According to the above, we can interpret what Rashi explains about in his generation. Some of our sages praise him. Moreover, if he were in a generation of righteous, he would have been more righteous. Others demand, others condemn him. If he were in Abraham's generation, he would be regarded as nothing. In his generations means his two generations, because two is plural, but concerning the work each and every state is called a generation. This is the meaning of one generation shall praise your work to another. It means that whether a person is in a generation of wicked, meaning if a person has thoughts and desires of the wicked, at which time a person has great exertion to be able to overcome the arguments of the wicked, which pack his mind and thought with the questions of who and what, at that time he cannot overcome them unless with the power of faith above reason. This is regarded as subduing the arguments of the wicked, not with answers within reason, but rather only with the power of faith above reason can he defeat them. This is called an act, meaning without intellect. This is called, if he has performed one mitzvah, he is happy, for he has sentenced himself and the entire world to a scale of merit. For only with an act can we defeat the argument of the wicked, and not with the intellect and reason. Accordingly, we should say that Noah's generation refers to a generation of the wicked. He should be praised because then he has the primary hard work, but he should be condemned because in the end he is in a generation of wicked, meaning he has foreign thoughts, and it is unbecoming of a servant of the Creator to have such wickedness in his mind and heart. We should also say that in the generation of Abraham, meaning in a generation where there are right, namely when he has good thoughts of righteous, it is when there only one desire is in his mind and heart, to bring contentment to the Creator. Thoughts and desires of their wicked never crossed his mind or heart. Such a person is in a generation of right. Others praise, for if Noah had been in the state of Righteous meaning if he had equalized the powers of overcoming that he had in the generation of the wicked, what would he have felt then, compared to the feeling he has now, which is the pleasantness and sweetness of the tar? Certainly the time of Noah's generation, which was called a generation of wicked, that time was regarded as nothing, for then he still did not feel the delight and pleasure that he feels in a generation of righteous. But with respect to the work, the time when he was in a generation of wicked was a place for work. Turns out that Noah's generation is more important because he has what to do, for the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Noah walked with God. Russ interprets that with Abraham, he says, before whom what Noah needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked by his righteousness. This means that there are two types of forces in a person which are called vessels of reception and vessels of ball. Vessels of ball relate to the Creator, as the Creator is the giver, and vessels of reception relate to the creature who is the receiver. Theos of reception, which relate to the receiver, come before the vessels of ball. In the words of the vessels of Theo are called and below them are the vessels of reception, which are, and accordingly the vessels of ball are called. God walked with Noah, meaning that in a place of vessels bestow it was possible to walk in holiness, meaning vessels of bestow that relate to the Creator, which are vessels of stow. This is called Noah needed assistance to support him, since the upper one gives the vessels of ball, which is regarded as Noah needing assistance to support him. This means that the upper one awakens him to work, called awakening from above, as it is written in the study of the 10. However, in the beginning, in the first time, the man that were not by zone in ABA went up, and then zone were made of those. Man after zone were established. They raised man a second time. Once he has the vessels of bestow, which he acquired through awakening from above, which is called Noah needed assistance to support him, which comes from the upper one, and this was the degree of Noah. But Abraham did not need assistance to support him. Ash makes that precision from the words before whom I walked. It means that he walked with vessels of reception, which stands before the vessels of ball. The vessels of ball which are and stand above, and below them stand the vessels of reception, which are said and said. Since Abraham walked with vessels that are before him, before the vessels of ball, which relate to the Creator, and we relate the vessels of reception to the receivers. This is why using the vessels of reception is called awakening from below, which is attributed to the lower one. This is the meaning of Abraham not needing assistance to support him, because he walked with vessels of reception, those he was serving the Creator. But the words God walked with no mean find that are attributed to God, which are vessels of bestow, which are vessels of the Creator, and those the Creator. Ifs we said down. Okay, all right. No, well, let's go to the next part. We go to the next part, and before that we'll sing a sol and s. We for become for hello. We are reading the introduction to the Book of Zed by We Are in item 33. You can find the study materials on the websites. Now remains the clarification of the sixth inquiry, which is the words of our sages, who said that all the worlds upper and lower were created only for man. It seems very peculiar that for man, whose worth is but the wise compared to the reality before us in this world, much less compared to the upper spiritual world, the Creator would go to all the trouble of creating all these for him. And even more peculiar is what would man need all these vast spiritual worlds, for you should know that any contentment of our Maker from bestowing upon his creatures depends on the extent that the creatures feel him, that he is the giver and he is the one who delights them. He takes great pleasure in them, as a father playing with his beloved son, to the extent that the son feel and recognizes the greatness and exaltedness of his father, and his father shows him all the treasures he had prepared for him. As it is written, my darling son is he a child of joy, for wherever I speak of him I do remember him still. Hence my heart yearns for him. I will surely have mercy on him, says the Lord. Observe these words carefully, and you can come to know the great delights of the Lord with those whole ones who have been granted feeling him, and recognizing his greatness in all those manners he has prepared for them, until they are like a father with his darling son, like a father with his child of joy. We need not continue about this, for it is enough for us to know that for this contentment and delay with those whole ones it was worth his while to create all the worlds higher and lower alike. Questions were none then. Continue. 34. To prepare his creatures to attain the after-mentioned exalted degree, the Creator wanted to do it by an order of 4 degrees that evolve from one another. See still, vegetative, animate, and speaking. These are in fact the 4 phases of the will to revive by which the upper worlds are divided, for although the majority of the desire is in pH 4 of the W to receive, it is impossible for phase 4 to appear at once by its preceding 3 phases, in which and through which it gradually develops and appears until it is fully completed in the former phase 4. 35. In phase 1 of the W to receive, see still, which is the initial manifestation of the W to receive in this corporeal world, there is but a collective force of movement for the whole of the still category, but no motion is apparent in its particular items. This is because the W to receive generates needs, and the needs generate sufficient movement to satisfy the need. Since there's only a small will to receive, dominates only the whole of the category at once, but its power over the particular items is indistinguishable. 36. The vegetative is added to it, which is phase 2 of the will to receive. Its measure is greater than the still, and its will to receive dominates each and every one of its items, since each item has its own movement, expanding to the length and to the width, and moving toward the sun. Also the matter of eating, drinking, secretion of waste is also apparent in each item. However, the sensation of freedom and individuality is still absent in on top that comes the animate category, which is phase 3 of the will to receive. Its measures already completed to a great extent, for this W to receive already generates in each item a sensation of freedom and individuality, which is the life that is unique to each unit separately, yet they still lack the sense of others, meaning they have no inspiration to share others' pains or joys. Above all comes the human species, which is phase 4 of the W to receive. It is the complete and final measure, and its will to receive includes the sensation of others as well. And if you wish to know the precise difference between phase 3 of the will to receive, which is the animate, and the 4th phase of the will to receive in man, I will tell you that it is as the value of a single creature compared to the whole of reality. This is because the will to receive in the animate, which lacks the sensation of others, can only generate needs and desires to the extent that they are imprinted in that creature alone. But man, who can feel others too, becomes needy of everything that others have too, and is thus filled with envy to acquire everything that others have. If he has 100 he wants, and so he needs forever multiply until he wishes to devour all there is in the whole world. 39. Now we have shown that the Creator's desire to go for creation he had created to bestow upon his creatures, so they would know his truthfulness and greatness, and receive all the delight and pleasure he had prepared for them in the measure described in the verse. If my darling son, is he a child of joy? You clearly find that this purpose does not apply to the still in the great spheres, such as the earth, the moon, or the sun, however luminous they may be, and not to the vegetative or the animal, for they lack the sensation of others even from among their own species. Therefore how can the sensation of the godly and his bestow apply to them, humankind alone having been prepared with the sensation of others of the same species who are similar to them, after working in and when they invert their W to receive to a desire to bestow and achieve equivalent a form with their maker, they receive all the degrees that have been prepared for them in the upper worlds. Called by this, they become qualified to receive the purpose of the thought of creation. After all, the purpose of creation of all the worlds was for man alone. He speaks about feeling the others, that through that you can attain the higher goal. So it starts from a person looking at others and wanting what they have, that he doesn't, meaning something negative, and then supposedly we have to invert it into Beo. So it's a bit weird. How sees that the others has something. He's envious, not from good envy, it's bad envy. So how can he turn that into Beo? But he has an understanding of what it means to give, to bestow to another. He has the feeling of the other. No, I look at my grandson or my granddaughter, and she looks at the other. She doesn't want anything. The moment someone else has something, she's willing to do anything and to get anything to attain it. There's no understanding what Beo is, but that's still the degree of animal. It doesn't matter. Also with the other people it's the same. What do you mean doesn't matter? No, it could be this. Where's that patent I have to increase these needs, or how to work with them? Yes, as these inclinations grow, person begins to feel good and evil in a different measure. So it's by limitation first of all. Yes, you see it like that. It starts from zero and rises. Okay, also about the feeling of the other. What's the difference when an animate degree can feel the her, or what he's speaking about, the speaking degree that can feel the other? Know the fact that the degree of animal feels its flock, or it's her, that's just her will to receive, that helps her on the degree of speaking. It's already leads it to another degree. And also at some point he says that the feeling of the other on the degree of man is to feel the sorrow his friend. Yes, meaning he's using the feeling of the other already on another degree. So how does this development happen, that a person really identifies with the sorrow or the happiness of the others? Because its inner development brings him the impression of what's in others, and he seemingly inscribes it upon himself. Does that mean that it's happening with him? Thank you. Ken, he writes that the contentment of our Maker is to the extent that the created beings feel him, that they're still vegetative and animate compared to the point of feeling the Creator giving him contentment. Let's say, can you explain that? Because they're still vegetative, and it's clear it's on behalf of this speaking. Can we explain the development of giving contentment to his Maker through these 4 phases? No, not yet. Wait, why is the feeling of the other means to developing towards feeling godliness? Because godliness is also the other. The godliness is of me, it's besides me. So I need to develop that feeling of the other gradually, and until I begin to perceive, to feel godliness. Yes, what evolution and the ability to feel the others has to happen in man, so he can advance from feeling the others to feeling godliness and his good degrees, the degrees of the desire to receive, within which he feels the other, and then he can rejoice or be sorry, and to acquire from the other his impression, his excitement, and that's how he grows. Yes, where does the feeling of godliness start on that axis in the end? In the end, well, in the beginning he feels himself, then that which the friend has, and then what is in his friend, and he doesn't have, and then for it to only be for his friend he moves to the story where it hurts him in what his friend suffers, and this is how he advances in developing his feeling. What takes him on through this access or this timeline from him becoming unbestow, that he's hurting from the pain of his friend. He wants it only for his friend. What's that transition? This transition of the will to receive in its development, where he starts to feel his friend the way he feels himself, and then begins to feel his friend more than he feels himself, and then he is ready to give up everything he has for the sake of a friend. Why? Because that's how the desire to receive it develops. Whatever he has becomes more important than what I have. What develops? The will to receive to that degree bestow for an above, just like all the rest of the degrees. No degree develops but only through bestow from above. And where does the feeling of godliness start? Nice, meaning we develop in the degree of still vegetative and animal speaking. And godliness, when does that start? In the process degree. What's a condition for it to come to be born? I'm constantly working with my desire to receive, to develop it, the feeling of the other outside of more and more. Why? When this develops and you start feeling the other, will bring a feeling of godliness with it, because the feeling of the other is called the feeling of godliness, what's the addition of feeling? The friend to the feeling of godliness, only a greater degree, only a higher up greater degree. There is no nothing else besides that. Because it all depends on me, and it's felt in me greater in. What greater in? The feeling of equivalence, adhesion, incorporation with this other. Okay. Continue. He writes, you can know the stages towards the Creator is to attain knowing His greatness. Yes, so how by the W to receive on the degree of man, how does it start feeling the other by feeling his sorrow and being happy with his joy? How from that do he reach feeling of greatness of the Creator and everything the Creator prepared for him, and that there's contentment above because he reveals the Creator as the source to all the changes? How from his attitude towards the friend through that he discovers the Creator is the source of all changes, because he discovers that all the changes that are in a friend and all the changes that are in him from the higher up degree, which is the greater, it seems that it can happen in me. Love of others, I see that there's no feeling. What is love? Love is a certain feeling of the other, the feeling that there's an upper force working on me and on the friend, and moving us and activating us. It means that in order to reach me, I have to love the others. I don't understand what you're asking. Try again. How from having relation from man and the other to the other, how from that do you reach the Creator? As you develop your attitude towards the other more and more and more, you feel that you're dependent on this, that you're connected to this, that through the other you connect him to you and you bestow to him, and you can also bestow to the Creator through the other in any other way. In a direct manner, you cannot connect him. Notice this only through others. So in your eyes, the other becomes important. It's the degree between you and the Creator. That's clear, even though the others are a means to reach the Creator. Here, he speaks of a purpose that, by knowing the greatness of the Creator and feeling it from that, there's the wholeness of the Creator and giving him contentment and everything. Yes, so how from man changing his relation towards the others, which is the means. How from that does he know the hess of the Creator, the greatness of the Creator? He learns this from that the Creator is also the other, the friend is also the other. So if I feel the greatness of the friend and how the friend is concerned with me and working on me, and you will have to recognize that, of course, even though all the benefits that he sees that come from the Creator, he sees it as coming from the others. It does come from the other, but he starts to correlate it with the Creator, attribute it to the Creator. Let's continue. It's hard to feel it if you I can't help you feel. Do you understand? Ask, and we'll try to answer. But the feel does not depend on me. We could read that, my son, 33, as it is written, my darling son, he's your child. Joy, whenever I speak of him, I do remember him still, and my year with him. And surely I have mercy on him, says the Lord. Observe these words carefully, and you can come to know the great delights of the Lord with those whole ones who have been granted feeling him and recognizing his greatness in all those manners he has prepared for them, until they are like a father with his darling son, like a father with his child of joy. And we need to continue about this, for it is enough for us to know for this well. So the Creator wants us to feel him as a loving father and everything he prepared, at least, yes, and from that he sends us to play with other kids in the kindergarten. So it's not clear if I want my son to love me and to feel as much as I love him, I wouldn't tell him go play with other kids, and then you'll feel how much I love you. But you need to develop him. He was born as an animal, and you want to raise him to the degree of speaking of a developed one, even to the degree of the Creator. So how will you do that if you haven't used those degrees? The order isn't clear. See you with other kids, it's my degree, but he begins to recognize that he's dependent on others, and to the extent that he's connected to them, then they give him, and he gives them that. There's some mutual obligation and mutual connection. So that's still on this level of the world to receive, as we described about the kids in the kindergarten. Okay, I don't even see their other kids, and I see there's more, so I want to take their toys. No, you want to give them gifts in order to receive from them gifts. So they're developing from the degree of animal to the degree of a man. So first I want to take their toys, and understand that I'd better give them something in order to take the toy. So, how does bestow in a feeling of a loving Father come from? This you want to be connected to others because your life depends on this. Then you search for ways to be connected to them, to connect, to appeal to the Creator, because you start to feel dependent on Him. What's my life your life if you won't be able to connect people? You won't be able to survive. I'm in kindergarten, I understand. I have to exchange toys with others, otherwise I won't have toys, so that's my life, right? Now yes, so where does this higher thing called Bao come from your developing desire to receive? You want what the friends have, and you understand that you have to give them in order to receive from them, and then your attitude between your life is dependent on that, and that's how you grow. Mind, like he writes, like the merchant, that becomes more sophisticated, and of course it's through the desire to receive. Well, when does this thing become bestow? To bestow, it's only by the reforming light, but for the time being you feel that you're dependent on them. They don't want to play with you doing certain actions, so they will want to come closer to you and play with you, and then between you there's some commonality, and in that sharing you start to feel how much better you can arrange yourself relative to them, so that they will be better towards you. It's clear to us it's the will to receive that's managing everything here, and how's that connected the W to receive, and this game that comes more sophisticated to a 4 that comes from above. That it is what makes the true change in the end, that comes from the shattering by where shattering meaning you need to understand that there is a boundary to the extent in which you can arrange things with your own forces. That's felt, so what's the problem in that case? What happens from here on? So there's a limit, so I didn't understand. What are you asking? The limit is clear, it's felt completely unlimited. That's clear. Well, how's that connected to the fact that a force will come from above and make this inversion? I didn't understand in the end. This inversion, the W to be, still comes from above. Yes, and that happens. It's not clear again if it comes from above. So how's that connected with all the actions that we those everything we learn? Do you need to raise man to this or not? That's what you're asking. So of course, yes, the end, all the actions are supposed to bring us to the feeling of a limit and a request. Yes. Well, the feeling of the other, we said, it's called love, but in the relation to the Creator there's fear first. There's 3 types. Is there such a thing calm as in relation to the others? We're speaking about love and connection. What is this type? Highest fear towards the Creator, that He is the one in control. How's that in the relationships between the friends? Also discover that you're somewhat dependent on them, and you won't be able to come to any spiritual success if you don't connect to them properly in the relation towards their friends. Is there a type of fear that we should have? Their fear in relation to, let's say, in the 10 we're speaking about connection and love. It seems like the second stage. There's also in that the same thing. You start to fear that if whether the friends won't love you all the way we act before the friends do. We also have these stages of fear. That first you are worried about personal things, and there's somewhat, yes, what's the highest stage between the friends? That you're dependent on the connection with them. Why it's important, the connection, that's what helps me jump. Yes, because that's the order of the degrees. Told the connection will be important from all other types of fear. That's what I have to reach. Thank you. Well, give it to your friend what to do to a person that doesn't feel that he necessitates others, needs others, even though he learned about it. He understood he needs to develop more question, but the prayer you said that we actually need, that the solution is prayer, but the prayer needs to come out of the depth of the heart. But he doesn't have that. If a person doesn't feel that he's lacking, that he's not lacking, so he remains in a degree like everyone and doesn't reach to the degree. Adam, why is it such that the more a person develops, the more he feels like he doesn't need anyone? He doesn't need anyone except for the Creator. Okay, it's true that he can act and say yes, and maybe even write about that and tell others how important it is, and how to what extent he doesn't feel anything within, but person doesn't feel. But it doesn't matter how many years, if he learns for 20 years, he still doesn't get that he will have to incarnate again. Do the deeds themselves without feeling? Do they also invite the reforming? Light it could be so we have to do more. Deeds, yes, continue sage the relationship between the recognition of the ability that you should arrange something with your forces, the shattering, and the prayer all. Those three things, how do they work with one another? Are there stages between them, or depends on how incorporated they are with one another? Question, what is the shattering? It's kind of not inclusive, is it a process that the creature doesn't want the shattering? He comes without a desire further. Yes, but the shattering in him is revealed too, and so man can only take place after the shattering, not just in the recognition of the ability to sort things well. Yes, where are we? Were in item 40. 40, read it again. Yes, item 40, and they know that it is completely unacceptable in the eyes of some philosophers. They cannot agree that who they regard as low and worthless is the center of their magnificent creation. They're like a worm that was born inside a radish. It lives there and think that the world of the creator is as bitter, dark, and small as the radish in which it was born, but as soon as it breaks the peel of the radish and peeps out, it says in bewilderment, I thought the whole world was like the radish I was born in. Now I see a grand, beautiful, and wondrous world before me. So too are those who are immersed in the shell of the will to receive. They were born with and did not try to take the unique spice which are the practical, to which can break this hard shell and turn it into a desire to bestow contentment upon the Maker. It is certain that they must determine according to their worthiness, worthlessness, and emptiness as they truly are. They cannot comprehend that this magnificent real had been created only for them. Had they delved in to bestow contentment upon their Maker with all the required purity, and would try to break the shell of the will to receive in which they were born, and would assume the desire of to, their eyes would promptly open to see and attain for themselves all the degrees of wisdom, intelligence, and clear mind that have been prepared for them in the spiritual worlds. Then they would say for themselves that our sages said, what does a good guest say? Then they would say to themselves, say, what does a good guest say? Everything the host has done, he has done only for me. Okay. What good morning, teacher. I just want to understand, to try to understand the process better. Let's say, oh, maybe sure, in case that happened to me. You said that when you deal with the toys, and I remember you said you play with toys, and then you're envious of it. Say a friend brought a new T-Max, something, why everything that I wanted he's playing, all the he's showing it off right in my eyes, kind of like that. Oig, I'll bring the same carrot. It'll be black, amazing, I'll coke his eyes out. And then let's say you're working on during this time, so what will you suddenly not want? This takes will. Are you capable of limiting and all in your desires, all your desires? That way is that the sign, I guess. So how can I look at him? I don't know, but explain, tell us, what would you do? No, let's say you were jealous of him, you wanted something that he has. That's like toys, adults toys. You worked, and then some quality changed in you, and you received the ability from above to what limit yourself, and then you won't want any more of these things. Or how will you look at them? Won't you want to poke his eyes? I keep going, and it will be clarified. I can. Did you have such a state where you were jealous of a friend, and you wanted something, and he was like in your territory, and you want to give it back? Then like that? No, I was only envious that I couldn't read good in Hebrew. I couldn't remember the word in Hebrew what's written, because they didn't have the basic unknowledge of the language. That's it. But also that I wasn't so envious or something, 'cause what the Creator gave me, that's what I have to accept. I guess it's for my benefit, specifically that way. So when you're like envious of like people who control Hebrew, or I'm not jealous of them 'cause this is how the Creator made me, that I'm not good in Hebrew and in languages altogether. I'm clogged completely. Also English, all any language, I couldn't deal with him. No, that's it. So envy pushing you, that's the animal, that's something special. Envy is a good thing. No, it's not the bestow, it's not an Adam. It's not a speaking, it's an animal. It's an animal. Yeah, okay, so what's the stage? Let you corrected it. What's the stage after fear? After envy, what can you do then? You can Be envious in all degrees all the way, till the end. The envy of authors will bring more wisdom, yes, but envy and spirituality. Like he said, it's not corporal, it's not animal, so how is that enemy, how is that? Envy expressed he posing before me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking I want to do to him what I want to do to him. Then after that, in spirituality, how do I envy, how do I envy him, and how is it implemented? I don't know, what can I tell? You hear N of someone, but I can't be instead of him, I can't be like him, so what do I need to do? Kill him. What should I do? What do you envy? I don't understand. In spirituality, what do you envy? I don't have anything to be spirituality. What is it that I'm looking at him? I'm just burned out, love from envy for what he has. He knows the wisdom better, he's on a higher degree than me in attaining the greater, and I'm envious of that. You say he's these things that you see, say, oh, he's higher than me. That's what it seems to me. It's things that you can't attain in matter, in material, only in thought. It'll be okay. Yes, about the feeling of the other, and we're always talking about a person as one, each person as one. I want to ask, to try to ask maybe about all of humanity that are going through this process. Also in humanity, as humanity, not as an individual, will there come a stage where humanity will reach a state of revelation of other people on the outside will start to grasp that I will be inverted to the other. Yes, we say that this will happen many times where we're talking about this process. It's like we come to some stage where we say, well, we're going to have to suffer for this to happen. It's not going to happen without suffering. Is there a manner in which humanity, I'm not talking about the individual humanity, will go through this round without them having to, I don't know, the world, be on the brink of explosion, and then will be able to get to there? You're asking me about something that can come in a few forms. No, okay, thank you, must speak. Okay, where are we? 41. But there still remains to clarify why man needs all the upper world the Creator had created for him. What use has he of them? Bear in mind that the reality of all the worlds is generally divided into 5 worlds called Adam, and in each of them in each of them are immeasurable details, which are the 5 world of is, the world of is, the world of is, and the world of is, and the world of is. The lights clothed in those 5 worlds are called the light of shines in the world, the light of in the world, of the light of in the world, of the light of in the world, of and the light of any in the world. Of all these worlds and everything in them are included in the holy name, and the top and the tip of the light cloth. The 5 worlds are lights of shines in the world, the of the world. Of all these worlds and everything in them are included in the holy name. Why and the tip of the yud have no perception in the first world, hence it is only implied in the tip of the ud name. This is why we do not speak of it, and always mention only the 4 worlds. Of is the world of the world of the world of, and the bottom is the world of. 42. We have now explained the 5 worlds that include the entire spiritual reality that extends from ends to this world. However, they're included in one another, and in each of the worlds there are the 5 worlds, the 5 in which the 5 lights are dressed corresponding to the 5 worlds, and besides the 5 in each world there are the 4 spiritual categories: still, vegetative, animate, and speaking. In it, man's soul is regarded as the speaking, the animate is regarded as the angels in the world, and the vegetative category is called dresses, and the stee category, 4th phase, is called halls. Also they all robe one another. The speaking category, which is the souls of people, clothes the 5, which is the godliness in that world. In the matter of the tea, which are godliness, will be explained in the preface to the book of Zohar. The animate category, which is the angels' clothes over the souls, and vegetative, which is the dresses, clothe the angels, and the still, which is HS around them. All his clothing means that they serve one another and evolve from one another, as we have explained concerning the corporeal, still, vegetative, and animate, and speaking. In this world, as we said, they're the 3 categories, still, vegetative, and animate, did not emerge for themselves, but only so the 4th category, which is man, might develop and rise by them. Therefore their role is only to serve man and to be useful to him, so it is in all the spiritual worlds. The three categories, still, vegetative and animate, appeared there only to serve and be useful to the speaking category, there which is man's soul. Therefore it is considered that they all clothe man's soul, meaning to serve him. Oh, I don't see any questions, keep going. 43. When man is born, he immediately has yet not actually niche, but the posterior of it final phase, which due to its smallness is called a dot. It clothes man's heart in one's will to receive, which is found primarily in man's heart. Know this rule, that all that applies to the whole of reality applies to each world, even in the smallest particle that can be found in that world. Thus, as there are 5 worlds in the whole of reality, which are there are 5 in each and every world, and there are 5 in every little item in that world. We've said that this world is divided into still, vegetative, animate, and speaking, corresponding to the 4. 1 still corresponds to mal, 2 vegetative corresponds to animates, 2 and speaking, 2, and the root of them all corresponds to, we have said, even in the smallest item in each species. In the still, vegetative, animate, and speaking, there are 4 phases of still, vegetative, animate, and speaking, even in a single item of the speaking category, meaning even in one person there are also still, vegetative, animate, speaking, which are the 4 parts of his will to perceive, where the dot from their knees of is clothed. H. Next. 44. Prior to 13 years of age there cannot be any emergence of the point in one's heart, but after 13 years, when he begins to engage in, even without any intention, meaning without love and fear, as is fitting when serving the king, even inish point in one's heart begins to grow and show its action. This is so because do not need an intention. Even actions without intentions can purify one's will to receive, but only in the first degree. To the extent that he purifies the still part of the will to receive, he builds the 613 organs of the point in the heart, which is the still of the niche of when one completes all 63 in action. It completes the 63 organs in the point in the heart, which is the still of the knee, of whose 248 spiritual organs are built by observing the 248 to do, and its 365 spiritual tendons are built through observing the 365 not to do, until it becomes a complete of. Then the niche rises and clothes the of and the spiritual world of and all the spiritual elements of still, vegetative, animate, and speaking in this world, and an animate in that world, which correspond to that serve and aid that of one who has risen there to the extent that the soul perceives them. Those concepts become its spiritual nourishment, giving it strength to grow and multiply until it can extend the light of in all the desired completeness to Laitman's body, and that complete light helps one add exertion in and receive the remaining degree. And we have stated that immediately at the birth of man's body, point of the light of niche is born and dresses in him, so it is here when his of is born. And we have stated immediately at the birth of one's body a point of the light of niche is born and dresses in him, so it is here as when his of is born a point from its adjacent higher degree is born with it, meaning the last degree of the light of and addresses inside the, so it is in all degrees. With each degree that is born, the last phase in the degree above is and instantaneously appears within it. This is because this is the whole connection between higher and lower through the top of the degrees. Thus through this point, which exists in it from the upper one, it becomes able to rise to the next higher degree. All right, good questions, so bring them for tomorrow and we'll start from them. And for now, our schedule for our broadcast for today, for Wednesday at noon, we will have the afternoon lesson at 5:30 p.m. is time reading the study of the 10 at 7:30 p.m. Z reading, and we'll conclude with the so spi for more for re so con most for o e la ver